Alright, welcome to the GrandOldTeam, and we're going to do a Sheff Utd review with our very special guest. This is Jason from the Atlanta Evertonians.
How you doing?
Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
We'll get onto the match a little bit in a little while, but it turns out you've had a pretty busy day. You arrived yesterday, and you're here till next Wednesday, but you're here for the match tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little about your adventure today, because it seems like it started off. What I thought was what you were doing was pretty quiet. You were just going around a couple of the sites, but it's turned into something that's pretty special and memorable for you.
Oh yeah, at first it was just me walking around the city, like we said before, but I've gotten access to the ground today thanks to Phil, who's been gracious enough to show me all sorts of different sites and everything. And then of course we were also waiting on the Bullen's end for players to come in, and I also got a few autographs: Luca Dean, Moise Keane, Walcott, Schneiderlin, to name a few.
Big Yeti as well.
Yeah, that was huge. Yeah, here's the coveted swag.
Yeah, so Jason's going to be raffling this off to all your mates in the Atlanta Everton. No, I'm joking. No, he's not.
Not at all, Landy.
No. So you've also been to visit Bramley Moor.
Yeah.
What did you think of the area? It's not as glamorous as it looks when you see the pictures, but the potential.
I think it's rich with history for one thing, and I think the cool thing is that all of Merseyside's a port area, and living on the coast myself, back in South Carolina, which is where I grew up, I think it's really cool that there's going to be a stadium on the water. And I think that really would capture the spirit of what this city is, based on what I've read, of course.
Did it surprise you that there's an American being involved in the architecture and the whole building of Goodison? Does that give you that a little bit of more of a connection to Everton?
Maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't say it too much, just because I feel things are, especially with the invention of how much we can communicate with each other more and more, it's definitely, we've been starting to merge a lot more of our worlds, and especially since we're both English-speaking countries, it makes sense from that standpoint.
Good stuff. So where's your standpoint on 52,000, 62,000, 62,100 and 1878? The whole capacity.
All the capacity. It's really hard to say. I think playing it safe. What they started with 50,000 is what they're going with, but it can be expanded up to about 55, or is it 55,000 to 60? And 60,000 is pretty big. Being from Atlanta, we have Atlanta United, and Mercedes-Benz Stadium has up to 75,000 capacity, and we've filled up to 73,000. But we know that's not going to last that long.
That's not going to be every game,
right? Exactly. I mean, we're riding high right now, but eventually we're not going to be that great, or we're going to stay great forever. But
well, that's it. That's the thing with Everton. We've got to, when we move into the new grounds, and I've said this time and time again, we've got to hit the ground running. We've got to be coming in, riding the crest of a wave with a trophy, with European football, with the money, the backing, potential Champions League football. That's where you get the capacity, in my view. But cool. Okay, so you did Bramley Moor. You've been to St. Rupert's Tower.
Yes. Yeah. We just took a picture in front of there with the sunset. It's beautiful. It's really
it's a nice place. It's weird because you can drive past it and miss it, but you don't realise the heritage that little tower has on Everton's history. And the whole little area of Everton Brow and Everton Valley around there as well. So is that one of them life goals fulfilled?
Absolutely. I mean, just being able to see a game is huge, and being in front of that, having that much history. It's like I was telling Phil a lot too. There's just, especially in Atlanta, there's not really too much history around because a lot of it was burned down in the Civil War. So being able to see all these buildings and everything, and then of course Prince Rupert's Tower, which is on the crest. I mean, that speaks for itself. It speaks volumes.
So, and then we've moved on to Goodison Park tonight, and that was probably just something completely. Was that planned, Phil?
It's planned to take them there.
We weren't expecting the players to show up.
Right, no, not the players to show up or anything like that. It was just like, oh, come see this real quick.
They must have gone, oh, Jason's here. We'll go down. We'll go down and see him. Right. So it's almost like they come to see you, which is amazing.
Right.
Tell us about that. I mean, because that again is something. They always say don't meet your heroes, but at this point, it's like you'll meet anyone who's got any kind of relationship to Everton.
Of course. Yeah, it was incredible to just be able to like talk face to face with a couple of players, and it's something rare that it happens in America as far as being able to talk to like athletes up front and everything. Usually they're pretty closed off or kept away just because some crazy person can tackle them or do something crazy like that. But it was pretty refreshing just to wait there while they're driving in, and they'll stop and say hey, and they'll sign something for you. So everyone was really generous.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so
it was awesome.
It sounds like it's been quite the afternoon. So that's really cool. So, talking about tonight, we'll now move on to tomorrow, which is probably going to be the big one for you.
Sure.
Your first game with Goodison.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been following Everton?
Since 2010.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what brought you to Everton? What led you to become a Blue?
Right. So it started with just watching the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, and that's when I really started paying attention. I'd watched the World Cup before, but football in America is American football where they're kicking a pigskin. That's about as much as they'll do it for a punt or a field goal. But just watching that, I got really excited. Just seeing how far we went with it, and Landon Donovan was scoring so many goals for that and everything. And then Tim Howard was our goalkeeper. So I started doing my research, and I realized that Everton had both of them at the time. Even though Donovan was on loan, but Tim Howard, he was our goalkeeper for so many years, and it was huge, and not only for the men's team but also for the US men's team. So.
I think Tim Howard's been the big draw for a lot of the US, whereas a lot of the UK side of Evertonians aren't Tim Howard's greatest fans, unfortunately. Because, I think because a lot of the people that we know, we've grown up with, the likes of Southall, we've had Nigel Martin at a later period, but I don't think anyone will top Neville. For the people who've been following Everton as long as we have, and so that's quite the pedestal.
It is.
That's quite that's the height you've got to reach. You've got to be as good or better than Nev, and sadly, that's not going to happen. And to be fair to Tim Howard, I think he was a cracking goalkeeper. He just had his moments. Yeah. But then I think that's typical of every goalkeeper we've had since Nev,
of course,
as well. So it is big shoes to fill. But cool. Okay, tell us about the Atlanta Evertonians.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how long they've been around, but that we all meet probably, I think, at our worst attendance that we've had, maybe about 5 people. And that's like a weekday game at like when everyone's working or something, or it's like a 7:30 in the morning. 7:30 over there, like be 12:30 here. Usually we can get about 15 to 20 people, which isn't unheard of. When I actually founded the section of the Carolina Toffees in Columbia, South Carolina, because I went to college there at the University of South Carolina, and we always called ourselves the Army of Two, because there'd only be 2 of us at one point. So I just showed up in an Everton shirt one day because I started wanting to watch Premier Leagues, and there was an old Irishman who went by Finbar Dunphy.
That's the greatest name.
Yeah, exactly. It's so Irish. And he just immediately saw me in a shirt and just went over immediately and just shook my hand. And he was just like, "Oh, okay, you follow Everton." I have a terrible Irish accent, but you follow Everton. That's great, man. Yeah, it's good. And he started coming in, and then I started watching with him a lot more. He told me, I guess, a long time ago he tried out for the Blues, but his mother forbid him from doing it, so he decided to do mission work and everything. So
that's one for the Rothmans book. So let's go check the diaries and see how far back we can go.
Right.
Okay, so moving on to I'll just go back to
back to the Atlanta. But I moved to Atlanta for work reasons, and then because I was in the Carolina Toffees, I figured out the Everton USA network and saw that there was a chapter in Atlanta, and I've finally been able to go, starting last year, actually. I've been in Atlanta for 5 years, but I'm a freelance film crew member, so I've been trying to make a lot of money. I just couldn't afford to go. But then I started going in, and then last year had a pretty hell of a ride of a season, but ended on a high note, I think, especially with costing Liverpool the league. With that big draw.
We'll ride that one for the long time.
Absolutely. And that was a lot of fun. We were in a bar before, but then Liverpool actually took that one over by the owner. But now we're at a new one, at Limerick Junction, and it's a really cool place, and it's also across the street from me, so it's
Really?
even better. It's like a win-win. I don't have to suffer with any cop fights, and
perfect.
I get to just walk.
Good stuff. So we'll catch up at the end of that, just to find a little bit more of the how you can get in touch with the Atlanta Evertonians. We'll go on to tomorrow's game, which is Sheff United. So I would say it's your first game. Give us a prediction for tomorrow.
So your score prediction. I'm hoping we show up and just 2-0.
2-0.
Thinking 2-0 against Sheffield United, yeah.
Okay. What's been your biggest disappointment this season? I mean, obviously we've had a bit of a rough, shaky start.
Yeah.
A couple of wins, a couple of draws, a couple of losses we all want to forget those 2 losses.
Of course.
Quite quickly and get that out of the bag, get out of the way. What has disappointed you so far with Everton at the moment?
I feel like it's like what we've had to deal with last year as well. We kind of had a rough start. We should have won games where we drew. We got red cards where we shouldn't have. Obviously not the same this one, but my thing with it would be that with how much moves we've made in this transfer window, I would say we should have more wins than losses instead of 2 wins and 2 losses and a draw. So I'm hoping tomorrow we win. I think that'll be a big thing. I think I would really want Keane to get a league goal.
Yeah.
That would be a huge. That would give us a lot more confidence in our attack.
Yeah.
Because right now it's still. I feel like we're still rebuilding it.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a...
And we are, I guess, yeah.
There's a complete rebuild, sadly, at the minute. I mean, obviously, with Jean-Philippe Gbamin being out injured.
Yeah, and that was
Andre Gomez now with a suspected broken ribs and out for a few weeks.
Right.
Ked Zuma was still a big loss.
Not being able to fill that was a big disappointment, but, we did what we could with that.
That's it. But you look at that with, Mina and Keane have almost got it feel like starting over. It's starting all back to scratch a bit. And I think that's where Everton has sort of fallen down a little bit, because we've gone from all these clean sheets to suddenly we're back in transition.
Right.
So it is difficult. But I think for me, I'm going to go 2-1, because I still think we can concede silly goals.
True.
But like you, obviously, I want Keane to get off the mark. I'd also like to see Calvert-Lewin getting another one following his goal last week at Bournemouth. So
that was a nice surprise to see him finally get one.
Yeah. Would you consider playing Keane from the start, or would you go Calvert-Lewin and play a similar way to the way?
I would like to give Keane a start. And
the
reason I say that is mainly just to get him on the pitch as much as possible and get him that experience so he can figure out whatever the system is that we're trying to do. And then once it's there in place, in theory the goals should just flow nicely. And then have Calvert-Lewin as a super sub role. I think he would do really well to just
I think he's flourish with that as well. Definitely.
Exactly.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Jason. Thank you so much for coming. So again, from hearing all the studies from today, it sounds like it's been an absolutely brilliant day for you.
It's been a dream.
If people want to get in touch with Atlanta Evertonians, are they on Twitter?
Yes, they are, actually. Yeah, they're on Twitter and on Facebook. Our Twitter account is more for just putting out announcements and things. Our active members are more talking, chatting on the Atlanta Evertonians Facebook page.
Right, that laugh you just heard is my brother, because I told him get rid of any cough, any sneeze, any fart, and he still manages to do it.
Of
so
course.
Phil, nice one. Until then, Jason, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, what I'd like to do though, if we can, is if you can send us a video after the game, and there's definitely a party going on downstairs, isn't there?
Right.
Send us a video after the game of your match reaction.
Sure.
We'd love to. We'll put that on the channel as well. We'll get a few reactions, because I think Paul's down there tomorrow. We'll do that as well. But if you can just send us a video, 2-minute one, just of your whole experience as well about being at Goodison, from start to the sirens to half-time pint to full-time 2-0.
Yeah. Right
the way through to standing outside Dixie, having a quick video, having a couple more pictures, and just tell us all about it. That would be absolutely amazing.
Sure.
Great stuff. Okay, till then, up the Toffees, and we'll see you after the Sheff United game.